So question 1 is, how did you hear about ABC and what made you decide to study here?
So it's kind of a bit of an interesting story behind that because I guess it's kind of unorthodox.
Okay.
So my aunt, Margaret Graham, occasionally would come to ABC to chapel and lead worship as
cool.
a guest worship leader. And one time she wanted Christina and I to come. And,
okay. To help with worship?
Yeah, to help with worship.
Gotcha.
And we did, and that's how I got introduced to the place. And I thought it was like I met Corey there. I think I met Stan.
Oh, wow. Do you remember what year that was?
That would have been probably early 2018.
Okay.
I'm thinking. That was probably, or it might have been early 2019. It was like as I was graduating high school, or it was a little bit after I graduated high school.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then later down the line, it was just Christina and I that Corey invited to lead worship at a Pace Chapel. Oh. And that was good as well. That was a bit more exposure. And my mom came along as well.
Good.
And she felt like this place was really good.
Good vibe, right?
Yeah, good vibe. And she kind of, over the course of a year or so, would occasionally bring it up to me, hey, maybe you should try out ABC. Okay. And I was like, maybe. And I just kind of kept putting it off. Because originally I was going to go to SAIT.
Okay.
And we went to this open house thing. And turns out the program I was looking at wasn't really what I wanted, so I didn't know what to do. So I figured I would heed my mom in this. And
maybe she's onto something, yeah.
Yeah, and then I had a tour, and Shannon showed me around, and I met David. And and then winter of 2020, that's when I first came here, and I have not looked back.
Wow, okay. So you started during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just before it
so. An interesting time to be here, for sure. Well, that leads us to a second question here, which is, what program are you in, and why did you choose it?
So I'm in the Bachelor of Theology program.
Right.
And I am in my technically 4th year, but out of 5 years, 5.5 years.
Right.
And the reason I chose it is because I could have very well chosen like a shorter program.
Yeah, like a diploma.
Just to get my feet wet. But I figured I would want to commit to a place and be able to get more of a degree. I didn't exactly know what I was going to do with it.
Right.
I had toyed with the idea in my head of becoming a worship pastor, but I wasn't 100% sure. And plus, I liked the sound of it as well. Bachelor of Theology. I just kind of.
It sounds cool.
And plus, you could change it later if you needed to. So I was like, yeah, I'll go with that to start.
Yeah, why not?
Just see how it goes.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So my next question for you then is, what's something you've learned about yourself during your time at ABC?
I've learned that I actually have a bit of a gift for academics.
Okay.
Because in grade school and in high school, like I did fine.
Yeah.
And but it was never really things that I was super into, like math or science.
Yeah.
Not my thing. But as soon as we put Bible and theology into the picture, that's when I light up, and that's when I really begin to give it my all. Yeah. And
so something clicked for you there.
Yeah, something clicks for me here, and I've been inspired to become a lifelong learner here, and it kind of ABC has kind of healed my view of education and of learning, and so that's something I really appreciate, and just inspired to keep being in academics and to be a scholar and to
Awesome. That's really cool. Is there, I know this isn't on the list of questions, but if you had to, like, off the top of your head, think of your favorite course that you've taken so far, what comes to mind?
I have a couple. I really love the biblical courses. Those are like my favorites. I love theological courses as well, but like it's really like the Bible, getting into the text that counts. Like my top 3 are probably like the Pentateuch, the Life and Teachings of Jesus, and Acts of the Apostles. I thought those 3 were all pretty awesome. Every course has been good at the very least.
Right, but there's some that you're just like, oh my gosh.
Some that for sure, yeah.
Cool, okay, that's great. Let me ask you, we're getting very introspective here. How has your understanding of God and your faith changed during your studies?
A lot of things have changed. It's kind of hard to pinpoint one big thing.
Yeah.
But I think one thing is that I kind of coming off the heels of the other question, is that this place has kind of taught me that it's okay to think, because in a lot of Christian circles, that's kind of anti-intellectualist.
Yeah.
If I may say. So there's that, because God has given us brains, He wants us to use them.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an important point. And I also, in a way, I think that this wasn't the start of it, but ABC has helped kind of heal my the way I view God. Because before, like, I kind of, the way I was not necessarily brought up by my parents were good, but this previous school I went to kind of not harmed, but kind of made my view of God seem like He's angry and vindictive, based on how they taught about Him. And luckily, like my parents and a few good friends of mine and ABC have come alongside me and shown me who God, really is, the God of the Scriptures, who loves all of us. And so that's something incredibly important. It kind of healed my view of God and kind of made my faith in Him stronger, because I can trust Him,
Right.
I don't have to be afraid of Him. There's that scripture from 1 John, for those who fear are not made perfect in love, because perfect love casts out fear.
Right. Yeah.
So
beautiful. Thank you. That's really cool. All right. If you had to pick out an aspect of your time at ABC that has been most valuable to you, what would it be?
It would certainly be the community, because like I came here to like figure out what I wanted to do and get a degree, maybe learn a bit more about the Bible. But what I found was that the most valuable part by far was the community. I have gotten really close with a lot of the peers who have come and gone. I've gotten really close with the professors who have kind of really come alongside me and mentored me.
Yeah.
And I try and attend every event that I can, just to like hang out with everyone and have good fellowship. And every time I do, it's just always great. Everyone's so wonderful. And that's the gift of this place that just kind of keeps on giving is just how wonderful everyone is to me. And me wanting to be a part of everything as much as I can is kind of, I suppose, how I want to give back to this place that has impacted me so much in my walk with Christ. So
cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. Is there something about the community, again, I'm going off off the books here, but is there something about the community that helps, I guess, in sort of the academic sense? Like, what is it like to be in a classroom with having a sense of community versus not? Do you have an idea about that?
Well, it's more comfortable to speak up and to disagree, because you know that we have ties with people there, that we have community already. So if we speak up about something, then even if they disagree with you, then they'll respect you, because it's a safe space.
And there's relationships under that make that possible.
And another thing that ABC is kind of coming off the heels of that is that the professors here have taught me how to think, not necessarily what to think, which I think is really, really important.
Yeah, that's a big distinction.
Because I'm a huge fan of discourse and making arguments and tossing ideas back and forth, making sure that everyone's heard, and because we all have our different perspectives. And there's really nothing I hate more than an echo chamber where everyone is just kind of in their own segregated spots, spouting the same opinion on things.
Right. And not really listening.
Yeah, exactly. But I like the mingling of certain perspectives that give people a more holistic way of viewing everything. Yeah,
totally. Cool. What have been the biggest challenges for you during your time as a student, and what has helped you overcome them?
Like, the biggest challenge that has kind of come up occasionally, not all the time, it depends on what time of the year it is, but particularly in months like November and March sometimes, that's when stuff starts to really ramp up and get busy.
Yeah. In terms of assignments.
Yeah, absolutely. Like and the struggle I've had pretty much ever since the first year I was here, maybe not the first semester, but certainly the first year, was that juggling everything, and making a good work-life balance.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been struggling with. And the last couple of years, I kind of put too much on my plate, and kind of crammed in like the months of November, early December, and March, just to get things done on time and done well. And the way that I think ABC has really helped me was that just the staff are very available to talk through these things and to help, because, you know, there were once students as well.
Yeah.
And particularly David Ford really helped me with this. And sometimes there's a time for dropping a course, sometimes there's a time for pushing through.
Yeah.
Because this year I kind of was fully aware that I needed to kind of be a bit more busy because of internship, and also making sure I'm able to graduate next spring, not this coming spring, the one after that, 2025. And I was going to drop one of the courses that I had, and David convinced me not to, and that I should be able to push through and and to build endurance. And I trusted his wisdom, and right now I'm doing fine.
Hey, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of helping in that discernment process, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, that's huge. What piece of advice would you give to a new student considering studying at ABC?
Go to every community event and talk to as many people as you possibly can. Because every single person at this place cares about you and is interested in your well-being and your education and what you have to offer. And being there for community events really and just kind of being around and using the facilities, just kind of, you get an idea of how wonderful the community is and how much people care. And some of the fun events are just really fun. Like that's
also
that's
you get
point.
to have fun,
yeah,
right?
And being able to lean on people, because people here are trustworthy. That's something that I definitely found.
Get plugged in, right?
Get plugged in 100%.
Invest in community. Yeah. Cool. Last question for you here. What do you currently plan to do after your studies at ABC, and in what ways do you feel being here has prepared you for it?
My favorite. This is what I was looking forward to the most.
Oh, good.
So after ABC, my hope and what's probably going to end up happening is I'm going to be graduating in spring 2025.
Right.
And then right after that, I'm going to be jumping into my master's in the fall. And I've kind of looked at a few options. I'm hoping Regent. Wycliffe also looks good. I've looked at Edinburgh Theological Seminary, and I've looked at Asbury Theological Seminary in the States.
Yeah.
So I have a few options. But what I want to do is go into graduate school and to get my master's and to be able to come back here and teach, hopefully.
Yeah,
that's
that would
my
be amazing.
dream. And then eventually get my PhD somewhere.
Cool.
And that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. And kind of like what David Ross has been doing.
Right.
And I think ABC has really been helping me in the areas of my personal life, like balancing everything, and in my faith walk as well, and also with academics as well. And the importance of intellectual honesty and how to write a good paper, and languages have been really important as well.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the foundation that will kind of, I guess, will be built on top of it when I keep going to school after this.
Yeah.
And will continue to kind of be the place where I started, my stomping grounds of how, how this all started.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there a particular area of studies that you're interested in pursuing for graduate work?
Yeah, particularly New Testament scripture. That's
New
kind
Testament.
of what I'm looking at. And
Cool.
whether it be Johannine or Lucan or even Pauline would be really good.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'm looking at, because Greek is something that I've particularly been good at. And so if I continue to do that and kind of put emphasis on New Testament scripture, then I can kind of specialize in that and yeah, hopefully teach some courses on that.
That would
in
be
the
awesome,
future.
man.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, those are my questions. Are there any other things that kind of came up for you as you were reflecting that you'd want to add, or?
No, I think that's really good.